What's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, I'd like to introduce you to today's savage so far in the videos I've been doing. Boom, there you go. The man of the year. Winston Burke, age 32, from California, committed his crimes in Seattle, Washington. Shout out Seattle. This guy's nickname is Dice Capone. And he rolled the dice and they came up snake eyes on this dumb behind. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has just been sentenced to a crazy amount of time in jail, which is not enough in my opinion for what he did. This guy right here, who's supposedly a pimp that was out there in Seattle with a few women under his wing, faced a whole litany of trafficking charges and so on and so forth. But that's not the reason for me doing this video. The stuff this guy was doing, just from a literal sense of mental destruction to the women that were involved in this, is hard to believe. This guy ruled with an iron fist, extremely violent, and he played a lot of psychological mind games and oppressing people for his own financial benefit. Under no circumstances should people like this be allowed in society or be allowed to live, in my opinion. And it sounds crazy, but if this was one of your daughters, tell me if you think otherwise. Take a look at this idiot.
The victim's testimony here was heartbreaking. She said that to this day, she lives in fear of Winston Burke. Prosecutors say he was not just a pimp. He was vicious and violent towards the girls, taunting them, making them fight with each other, and in one case, posting on Instagram asking which gun he should use on a girl who tried to get away.
Just come straight backwards, you get.
This was the moment Winston Burke's sex trafficking empire came to an end.
Why you need though? I've explained to you.
Federal prosecutors said Burt moved women from different states, forcing them into sex work on Aurora Avenue in Seattle.
These particular victims were forced to earn $2,000 a night. The defendant would not let them come home until they had earned that amount of money.
Kate Krishman prosecuted Burt's case.
These traffickers are able to recruit victims by portraying their luxurious life on Instagram, on social media. They show their jewelry, they show their cars, they show where they're traveling, and they tell their potential victims, this is something that we can have this life together. And then, of course, once they lure them into their web, then they pull the rug out under them.
One victim spoke at Burt's sentencing, recounting the horrors she faced, including when she tried to escape Burt's control and other girls beat her into submission. She fled, running into traffic on Aurora Avenue, where an Uber driver picked her up. Burt started shooting at the Uber, but the Uber driver was armed and shot back. They had a rolling shootout, and the Uber driver got the girl to safety.
I'm just running for my life, and he started opening fire at me.
Mr. Burt used extreme levels of violence to help control and to force the women to do exactly what he wanted.
The FBI says Burt funded a lavish lifestyle off the forced sex work of his victims.
Mr. Burt was driving a Mercedes GLE. He had almost $80,000 worth of jewelry on his person, including an Audemars Piguet diamond-encrusted watch.
That's what for this fast.
Yep, let's go.
Burt's defense attorney said in court that he had a terrible upbringing, and that's what led him into a life of bad decisions and crime. The sentence here in federal court, 15 years in prison, followed by 15 years of supervised release. That'll put him into his 60s with this case still attached to him. Today, the prosecutor said that he could have faced up to life in prison, but they felt like this was a good deal, and it spared the victim from having to go through a trial. Reporting live from the federal courthouse in Seattle, Jeremy Harris, Como News.
Story of this piece of shit Winston Burke, an oppressor in modern times. And once again, the justice system ain't shit. Federal justice system at that. Did you hear what they said? I'm gonna tell you something. This is why I'd eviscerate people like this that oppress others. I want you to think because I'm gonna read to you some stuff he did. I want you to think about something. How psychologically just abusive this guy was, and how his mindset was just that of somebody that doesn't give a damn about nobody except himself. He was telling these chicks to go and they can't come back until they raise $2,000 in a day. I want you to think about this. Say these chicks charged $100 to provide services to Johns, right? They got to run through 20 customers to make that money. And he's doing this every night. Now, as far as I see, he had 3 women. I don't know if it's more. But I want you to think about that. This guy was making at least $6 grand a day by putting his foot on the back of the neck of women that he had out there working them like slaves. And speaking of slavery, this type of shit right here is what it reminds me of. Anytime I hear about trafficking and all this type of stuff, prostitution, forced prostitution, it reminds me of slavery. You know what I'm saying? Nothing more, nothing less. You making somebody work under duress with the threat of violence and having them sacrifice their body and mind all for a chance at survival. I'm gonna show you something. Any normal human being would try to escape any type of persecution against themselves, you know, against when they made to do things against their will. Look at this stuff right here. It said in November of 2022, Burt kicked, punched, and pistol whipped a 20-year-old girl after she indicated she wanted to stop working for him, according to court records. Burt then held the woman inside a rental home in South Seattle, forced her to strip to her underwear. 3 days later, the woman jumped out the 3rd-story window in an attempt to escape from Burt. Court filings show Burt and 2 other women who worked for him forced the victim into a car, then drove towards a motel in North Seattle. The victim jumped out the car in her underwear and began asking for help from passing drivers. A police report says an Uber driver saw the woman in distress, allowed her to get in his van. The Uber driver sped away from the area and Burt gave chase in his SUV. Burt then began shooting at the Uber driver, who was armed, and shot back at Burt, according to court charging documents. Nobody was hurt in the gun battle, and the Uber driver managed to get away from Burt and sought help from the Washington State Patrol. This is one of the reasons this stupid ass got caught. And this was back in 2022. So 3 years ago this happened. She got away. She was the main witness. Then they were talking about the witness. It was her. Said he had the girls fighting on each other. He's showing his pimping exploits on social media, aka the Monkey Manifesto. Always putting your fucking business out there and showing that you're a piece of shit to the world. And there are some people that are like and commenting on this bullshit. This is the mindset that's out here in the world right now that I would like to fix. By hook or by crook. For real, there are people out here that don't give a shit and love living lavishly off the backs of others and the blood of others and don't care 2 shits about them. Said he would grab these women from other states and bring them out here. Had them so much in fear that they would fight on each other if they tried to escape. Sounds just like slavery. Hey, I'm gonna escape. Oh, they either tell on the person or they fight on them to scare them to stay. This is the mindset that's out here in some people right now, ladies and gentlemen. These women put their bodies and health on the line continuously because they were in fear of this one tyrannical human being. And the justice system can go fuck itself, whether it's federal or state, because it seems like they only do something and give serious time or get a death penalty when it's a high profile case. I want you to think about that shit. This shit is appalling. They gave him 15 fucking years. What you think about that? 15 years for shooting a gun in the fucking street at citizens trying to help somebody, shooting bullets out in the open, and on top of that, doing vile stuff to people against their will. Torturous stuff. What do you think about that? This is crazy. And he only got 15 years plus 15 years of supervised release, meaning you got to report to us every month and we'll say, how you doing? And it's a 5-minute visit and you're out the fucking door. That's justice. That's justice. This guy had a thirst for attention and lavishness, and he didn't care who fell under the blades of his destruction to do it. He'd have walked over these motherfuckers if he could. He looked at these people as far as value of what they could give him rather than who they were. That's like infringement of civil rights. Why is he alive? If it was up to me, any type of violence and mental deterrence of people to their sanity, you would result in, it would be out, you pay the ultimate price. Ultimate price. Girl, 20 years old, pistol whip. Get the fuck out of here. You're a 34-year-old man. So I want you to just think about this whole thing in perspective. This motherfucker right here don't work like the rest of us. His job is to go out there and oppress these women and have them do all of this crazy stuff so he can get up there in front and say, look what I got. Shameful. Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Justice system just out here. They ain't out here to give you real justice. They out here to act like they punishing somebody. And he'll be in his 60s or whatever, close to his 60s when he get out in 15 years. Now, if he was charged, if he was sentenced to 15 years in the Fed, you take 2 months off because a federal year is 10 months. So he got 150 months. You know what I'm saying? In Fed time, minus what, 30 months they'll take off of that? Because 2 months off of each. So what do you got, like close to what, 12 and a half years? Probably less than that. Either way, it's fucking stupid. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.